You are listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast, where it's all about responding with confidence to the legal, financial, and personal challenges created by a disability, unexpected illness, or aging in general. Join us weekly as elder law attorneys Barbara McGinnis and Chris Johnson, along with other members of the Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning team, talk about the tools, techniques, strategies, and services that will make the elder care journey easier for everyone involved. Get ready, because aging starts now.
Welcome to Aging Starts Now, the podcast from Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning, where we help individuals and families navigate the legal, financial, and personal challenges that come with aging. I'm today's host, Dana Henschel, Outreach Coordinator with Johnson McGinnis, and today we're talking about what happens after a diagnosis or health crisis turns life upside down. Joining us is Tim Otis, the founder of Empaira, an organization dedicated to helping caregivers find a safe sounding board and trusted space to navigate the complex world of aging with trusted guidance, practical resources, and compassionate support. Tim, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Danny. I really appreciate it.
So to begin with, tell us about Empaira. I mean, what's your mission and what inspired you to create the company?
Absolutely. So I took care of my parents in two different caregiving situations. So when I was a kid, my mom got in a really bad car accident when I was 4, and she became a paraplegic. So for 18 years of my life, I was taking care of her along with my 2 other sisters. And then basically fast forward 40 years later, and my dad, he gets diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2019 and moves closer to me so that I can be his primary caregiver. And through that experience, I felt very isolated and very alone in what I was going through. And I know a lot of caregivers feel this way, but they feel really, really embarrassed or shameful to admit that care is hard on them, that it can be taxing on them, that you're feeling like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. So Empaira is a emotional support network, peer-to-peer. So it's caregivers connecting with other caregivers, but in a way that makes it approachable, meaning that you can share how you truly are feeling with others, and people will and other caregivers know and completely understand that experience. And so it's a free and anonymous network for people to connect, because we felt like anonymity was the way to unlock one's ability to actually truly get what's weighing on them off of them.
And how did you come up with the name Empaira? That's an interesting name.
Yeah, so Empaira means 2 words together. It's empathy and pair. And the best way to say it is that our mission is around shared caring. So we're looking to create partnership with organizations and with places that really want to walk alongside caregivers, really want to actually say, caregiver, we do see you. This is a caregiver first platform. This is not about, oftentimes what happens with these platforms is that people build them with caregivers in mind, but it's really about allowing them to do their jobs better as caregivers. So it's really for the recipients of care through the caregiver, whereas Empaira is all about giving caregivers the front door, making them first, putting their emotional health first. And so, yeah, that's the meaning of the word, is that it's empathy and pair together.
Okay, so you kind of touched on this, but so what makes Empaira the difference? What distinguishes it from your typical Alzheimer's support group or ALS support group?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference there is that the best term for it is asynchronous, which means that this is something that you can check in on and engage with peers, engage with fellow caregivers at like 2:15 in the morning. I mean, there's certain times at night where we're sitting there and we're up. We wake up out of a panic or a night sweat or something because of having a bad dream. This is a place where people can go at any time to share what's weighing on them very heavy. And there will be people out there who will we'll come alongside them. We'll share. We'll support. The one of the most powerful features within our platform is something called support, which is where you can actually, when somebody is sharing an anonymous post in the community, you can actually select this little sharing or the support icon, which will actually give them a notification that somebody is out there and actually listening to them and they're seeing them. It's all about caregivers seeing other caregivers, because again, this thing around isolation is so huge, and it leads to what I would call not only a mental health crisis, but a physical health crisis for caregivers. So this is really helping make people feel more connected when they feel so alone.
So let's just kind of dive into how a caregiver could check this out.
Mm-hmm.
So is it myempaira.com or empaira.com? How do you get started?
Yeah, so the actual website is myempaira.com, and that will actually take you to the place that you can sign up. And all we ask for, because I understand, data privacy protection is a big thing now, especially with AI. This is not any kind of AI tool. We are a very focused, human-centric company on the emotional well-being of others, and we're not using any kind of automation or any approach there. It's really all you're doing is you're to sign up for Empaira, you provide your email address, and then you answer some questions about the experience that you're going through. What is the condition that you're caring for, and then also what staging, if you had to give an idea of what kind of staging you're in, because then what we'll do is we'll create a matched community experience for you. We'll provide the resources to you that are matched to that condition, that are matched to that stage. That's one of the things that we really, as we develop this company, really focused on is this whole thing around personalization of the caregiver versus this one-size-fits-all approach that seems to be really rampant. And I don't want to speak, wrongly of other organizations, but there's a lot of times where we're just kind of providing a pamphlet or a go-to step guide, and this is really helping people walk alongside each other, peer to peer.
So you go to the website, you log in. I think you are asked to create a password,
Mm-hmm.
and then and like you said, pick kind of the person who you're care partnering with, their ailment. And for caregivers who might be dealing with multiple people that they're caring for, like Lewy body, stroke, maybe a child with special needs. I think once you get into the community, there are kind of little buckets that you can go into, little boards where you can bounce from one community to the next. Is that true?
Yeah, right now that is the functionality of the platform, but what we're going to be launching very soon is multi-condition community. We're going to call it a space. And so once we launch our app, right now Empaira is a web-based platform and a mobile web platform, meaning that you can access it on your phone through a link. But what we're going to do is we're going to create an app for the network, which will enable multi-condition selection, because we absolutely understand that there are caregivers out there that are taking care. They're the sandwich generation caregivers. They're the ones who are taking care of their child with autism, and then their loved one got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and they're feeling like, gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. What do I do? Are there people out there like me? And we are going to show them they are not alone by, enabling this multi-condition approach and helping them be able to engage with other caregivers. Another piece of this is actually going to be where we are going to be partnering with employers to provide peer facilitation for caregivers who are in the workforce and they're feeling really isolated in the journey. They are feeling, guarded not to want to talk to their manager about what they're going through. And we're going to enable a service where people who are on staff at a certain employer are going to be able to have that support. And it's going to be a supplement to an EAP program. But it's going to be, again, our differentiation, our focus is around peer-to-peer, because only caregivers understand what other caregivers go through.
Right. So in the community, it will show how many community members are active, I guess, within that particular group. And if you go in, it's you have a little bit of everything. I mean, Huntington's, multiple sclerosis, brain injury, autism, cerebral palsy, Tourette's, all of these different communities. And I guess anybody can write a post and then wait for someone to respond.
Yeah. So how it works is that when a new post is created, it goes out to the community to let people know that a caregiver has shared, and then it gives the subject line matter, and then it piques somebody's interest to look at it and say, wow, somebody's feeling really, really grief stricken right now. And then you can read their post, and like I said, you can support them, you can reply to them. You can just, again, let them feel like they're not alone in walking it. There's also people have, shared, given advice or recommendations. One thing that we are really focused on is that this is not, I want to be very careful that this is not a clinical, guidance tool or clinical navigation tool. This is really about just peer-to-peer. Let's rally around each other as caregivers. We're all kind of, spaced out in the world. The other thing too is that we also understand that there's a lot of caregivers, especially with these neurodegenerative conditions, that are very isolated at home. They're confined to the home. They can't leave the home. They're worried about their loved one wandering off. So they feel very confined and isolated. And so Empaira is going to meet them in that situation too. It's going to help them feel connected when they feel in those moments heavy emotional response and, dysregulation of their nervous system, that they can feel, I need to know that I'm not alone in this right now. I need to vent. I need to share. And a lot of people say when they go into the community, they say, it just helps to be able to share that. It just helps to be able to share that. I don't feel so heavy anymore.
Right. And I guess the anonymity of it, because if you're in a specialized Facebook group or something like that, they can always, people can kind of go to your profile. They can kind of poke around. This is truly anonymous.
Yes, this is truly anonymous, and there are, let's be clear that there are, there's the Reddit community that is very, anonymous geared with these handles that they come up with to name people, and then you can also be anonymous on Facebook. But the difference here is that this is all about the personalization element. This is really about being able to match people to a community where they're in this stage of life. This is where they're at. It's not just, hey, my loved one just got diagnosed, and you're grouping in with a bunch of people who are much further along in it, and in some cases could kind of scare you if you're new to the diagnosis and they're talking about, oh, we're in end of life and this is what's coming, and some people are just not prepared for that. I've talked to a lot of caregivers, honestly, who are influencers in this space. Like they have socials, they share on their reels, and they share about their episodes with their loved ones dealing with dyskinesia or bradykinesia. And some people just don't want to see it because there's just like, this is too far along for me. I'm not ready for this. So this is really about matching people where they're at. And if they want to, they can choose to go into those communities and learn. But it's not, again, it's very much about the personalization.
Right. And you also have a spot on the website called Moments. Mm-hmm. That caregivers, I think it's ideas for them to just kind of take a break.
Yes. So we're trying to make, and self-care is a dirty word, totally understand it as a former caregiver, that it's so hard to take care of yourself. And you hear that ad nauseum, and you're just like, do you understand how difficult this is? We're trying to create something where people can fit it into their day. And so it's 30 second to 1 minute guided exercises. And it's really honestly what it's more about than exercises like, physical exercise. Cause that's not, again, we're not going to go down this path of creating any sort of thing that is, clinically needs to be approved and things like that. But it's really about validation. It's really about helping them. Like, we see you, we understand what you're going through. Take a breath, it's a guided approach to alleviating that, again, that emotional weight that seems to weigh on caregivers so heavy at times. We just want to help caregivers feel lighter in their day to day.
And then another little aspect of the website is this learn button. where you can go in and see articles, specific articles, personalized, I guess, for the disease for which you're caring for, the person with the disease that you're caring for, and also local services. And you can type in your zip code and it brings up services that are localized to your area.
Yeah. So, a big piece of this as we're continuing to build out this network is going to be around truly creating localized resources for people. One of the things that, I was challenged by when taking care of my dad was, it was like, oh, what do you do when your loved one gets diagnosed? The very first thing you think, the very first thing I thought was like, well, Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's disease. So when did he get diagnosed? And then you start doing the research. He's got a foundation. And then you're just like, what other foundations are out there? Where can I get resources? And then pretty soon what happens is that you're looking for resources, you're making calls, and all of a sudden you get, somebody reaching out to you as a support rep, and they're providing all of these links to you, and documents and stuff. And there's too much effort there to have to walk through that and research that yourself. We want to make this much easier for people. Like if they're in a panic mode of their loved one just diagnosed, there's going to be things immediately available to them that is going to serve them where they live, with the closest area of where they live. So we really want to focus on truly local resources, and that'll be built over time. Right now, we're just kind of testing it out to see what people are looking at. Probably the biggest thing that we've got going right now is just not overwhelming people and really just letting them know this is what you need to know today. This is what you're going to need to know in the future. Just kind of being more proactive about, just being prepared as a caregiver, but not overwhelming people. We just want them to know the thing that they need to know today versus the thing that they need to know in the future.
Okay. And do you have kind of something that comes to mind, or a family that comes to mind, that illustrates how your team made a difference for a family, like using this platform?
Yeah. So one of the biggest testimonials has been a woman who has been taking care of her husband. And here's the thing. This is anonymous, right? But there are people that have decided, you know what, I need to email the founder and let them know how beneficial this has been to me. And this individual reached out to me and said, hey, I'm this handle in your community, but my real name is, X, and I'm taking care of a husband with Parkinson's disease. I'm 83 years old, and he's in the advanced stages of Parkinson's. And I just have to say that, like, I now have community because of your platform. Before I was, isolated at home in my attic setup that my brother-in-law set up for us so we could live there. And now she feels connected to other people. And I do, now that I know who she is, I see her very connected to individuals. I see her taking the moments. And she's told me, she said, this really does help me feel lighter. This really helps me feel like I can take the weight off here. Whereas, otherwise, again, walking around with very heavy emotion.
Well, Tim, this has all been very interesting, and we're actually already running out of time. But if listeners remember just one thing from today's conversation, what would you want it to be? Or if I have skipped over something that you definitely wanted to share, what would that be?
Boy, the mission of Empaira is absolutely, we want to make caregiving more visible to people. We are beyond just a network. We are focused on advocacy for our government. We've been instrumental in helping to advance legislation like the Caring for Caregivers Act. We were involved in that effort to go around to congressional leaders and advocate for that. But I'd say more so than anything, I need people to know that if you are becoming so emotionally weighty that you're becoming physically unhealthy, you are becoming an invisible patient or a hidden patient. And we already have an overrun care system. So, if we don't have the means of really combating this emotional isolation, it actually is leading to us becoming a health statistic. And that was one of the things that I experienced in my own journey with my dad and hitting burnout, is that I became physically unhealthy because of it. And that's why I ultimately went down this path of building this network.
Right. And I think it is cliche, you've got to fill your own cup, to help others. But I worked in assisted living for 7 years, and I can't tell you the number of times the caregiver passed away before the person living with the disease.
Yeah.
And so it isn't a cliche. It happens. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely. I've talked to so many people who've told me the same thing and have confirmed that, and it's very sad, and it's very disturbing. Quite frankly, it's a crisis, and we want to be part of a solution to that crisis.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for sharing your expertise and introducing us to the important work of Empaira and what Empaira is doing to support caregivers. And being a caregiver can be isolating and overwhelming, but as we've discussed today, no one has to navigate this journey alone. Thank you for listening to Aging Starts Now. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who may be facing the challenges of aging or caregiving. And for more information about Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning and the resources available to help your family, visit us at tn-elderlaw.com. And until next time, remember, aging doesn't just start one day. Aging starts now.
Thank you for listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast. For more information about today's show, visit tn-elderlaw.com, click on the Free Resources tab, and then click on Aging Starts Now. You'll find the show notes there. And while you're at it, why not check out all the free resources available at tn-elderlaw.com? Document downloads, the Johnson McGinnis blog, educational videos, informative articles, helpful links, a TV show, and more. It's all there, free for the taking. If you enjoy listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast, please subscribe, rate the show, or leave us a review. It's easy to do on whatever app you use to listen. We would love your feedback on the show. Aging Starts Now. We'll be back next week with more candid discussions about the challenges created by aging, disability, and unexpected illness.